Phil Jackson is out as the New York Knicks vice president. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I had this story cooked and locked and loaded last night. I just waited. I be up grinding late at night, 3, 4 in the morning. I had this story cooked up last night. I said I'll just wait and do it today. Phil Jackson. The decision came late last night. Him and James Dolan agreed to part ways. James Dolan, for those who don't know, don't follow basketball like Mr. TALIAFERRO does. The New York Knicks owner. I believe James Dolan hired Phil Jackson in the first place to cover up his woes and get the monkey off his back. And everybody pointed that negative energy to Phil. Listen, Phil Jackson out as the Knicks is a good thing. Here's why. I do believe Phil Jackson had some sort of a direction, but I think he wants people to be militant, and that's simply not the case in this NBA. These players are divas nowadays, and I think what he wanted guys like Carmelo Anthony to be, Kristaps Porzingis missing the exit meetings rubbed him the wrong way. I think he wants every player that he has to be like a Kobe Bryant, to be like a Pau Gasol, to listen to the coaching staff, to listen to the ownership and trust them. The problem is, Phil ain't the coach no more. He's the GM / vice president. He was acting like the GM. You need Phil to do his job. And I just don't think he made for a good VP. Great coach, incredible coach, because he had great talent. And now I'm starting to even question if he was a great coach. His VP was so damn bad. Look, the reality of the situation is he pissed off Melo. He said he wanted Melo out of town. And look, I'm not going to knock him for that. If you want Carmelo out of town, it's proven that Carmelo cannot be the best piece on your team when you want to win a championship. I'm fine with that. But when you ruptured that relationship with Kristaps Porzingis over an exit meeting, when Kristaps had every reason to not want to be in that exit meeting because of how you handled the Knicks, and let's not forget what happened last season. Phil Jackson was bashing Melo in the media, and then he'd put out little excerpts in his ways through little interviews with reporters that he has relationships with. And Melo stood up there in those post-game press conferences like a man, answered every question about Phil Jackson with class, every question about that New York Knicks organization with dignity, never knocked anybody, never talked bad about Phil Jackson, said he wanted to be a Knick regardless. He handled himself like a man. He handled himself like the vice president, not the player. Phil Jackson doing all this childish stuff, getting reporters to talk bad about Melo, talking in the media after the season, saying maybe Melo should go elsewhere. That's not your job to say maybe Melo could go elsewhere, because Melo ain't got to go anywhere. You signed him. You gave him the no trade clause, Phil Jackson. That's your problem. You figure it out with the team you got. Yeah, Kristaps didn't want to answer questions about that. And to put the icing on it, when the Kristaps Porzingis thing hit the fan, you were trying to trade him. You started listening to offers about him, reportedly, to teach him a lesson. You had to go. You had to go. You're thinking this triangle offense, it's dead. You're thinking the way you think the game of basketball, it's just not what the NBA has become. And it was time to move on from Phil Jackson before you lose Kristaps Porzingis, a guy who's probably going to be a superstar. I think they blew it in the draft. You had your chance to get Dennis Smith. You drafted Frank. I don't even know how to say this dude's last name. Not saying he's going to be a bum. He's another overseas player. By the way, Phil doesn't really like black players that come from poverty-infested backgrounds. Let's just tell the truth about it. He doesn't like them. He likes going and getting black players overseas who he believes the IQ overseas is better than what's in the NBA right now. He believes it. The problem is them overseas cats for the most part can't ball like these players in this country can. Now the New York Knicks are probably going to be wanting to keep Carmelo around. They're going to want to keep Carmelo. They never wanted to get rid of Carmelo. Phil Jackson wanted to get rid of Carmelo. You're going to probably want to keep Carmelo around for the long term. At least the next couple years. He has a no trade clause. So if he don't want to get traded, he don't got to go nowhere. And if y'all can't agree to buy him out, he don't have to go anywhere. But here's the thing. We don't know what Melo wants to do. Does he still want to stay in New York after all this mess? Or does he look up and say, damn, Chris Paul and James Harden in Houston? Maybe I want to go be a part of that. Have some fun over there. So now the NBA is in an uproar because Melo can change a lot of things if he buys out. Maybe he goes to the Cavs. But I would tend to believe the Knicks are not going to want to trade Melo. That's the point of getting rid of Phil Jackson. They didn't believe in his plan to trade Melo or trade Kristaps Porzingis. Shit, I don't know if Melo's waking up today happy that Phil Jackson is gone or not. We know he didn't get along with Phil. But if Melo really wanted to leave New York, Phil Jackson was his way out. Now the Knicks are not going to be willing to trade Melo. Melo will have to approve a trade. He has a no-trade clause, full no-trade clause. Or buy out Melo, because I'm pretty sure the Knicks are going to want to keep Carmelo Anthony in town. So, hey, I've been told that Melo still wants to stay in New York, but he is willing to listen to Houston for a buyout. If he can get bought out of the Knicks, he's willing to listen to Houston to sign with them. Chris Paul, one of his closest friends. So we'll see. Melo has never really made the best decisions from a free agency standpoint, so we'll see how he gets this wrong. Phil Jackson out of the Knicks. Listen, man, you had to move on from Phil. I'm not going to say he didn't want the job. I'll just say this. I know he enjoyed the pay that came with the job. Was Phil at his age really dedicated to going on the road, flying, doing all of the things that it took to get this Knicks team back on the right track? I don't know. I hope I can forget Phil, the vice president / GM, and remember Phil, the 11-time NBA champion as a head coach, the guy who got the most out of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. But in the short term, it's going to be hard because he really tried to mess these New York Knicks up completely. His decision-making was atrocious. The Knicks have not got better since he's been around. They've actually gotten worse. He took the team and tore it apart, and he couldn't build it back up. He wasn't even getting phone calls from these free agents. The posse coming with LeBron didn't help. Like, think about it. LaMarcus Aldridge would barely give them a phone conversation. He wouldn't meet with them. He didn't want to meet with them. None of the big-time free agents have even considered New York since Phil Jackson has gotten in town. That was the point of signing Phil Jackson, to bring some of these big free agents in town, because Phil can convince them, right? That dude ain't Magic. He don't got that same Magic Johnson swagger. These black players don't respect Phil. They don't care about them 11-time champions because they know they're not as good as Kobe or Mike. And Phil not even a damn coach. So maybe you'll get one of these players to play for you. If you were the coach, I'm telling you, they just don't make them like Kobe and Mike anymore. Maybe Russell Westbrook will play for Phil Jackson. That's about it. He ain't even a coach anyway. Phil Jackson fired as the New York Knicks vice president. Talk to me. Comments in the comment section below. I want to know what you think about it. And the Carmelo situation that I explained so vividly as well. I'm out. If you're looking to book me for an interview video or by phone, if you're looking to have your music or your skill featured on my daily podcast, if you're looking to book me for a speaking engagement to help motivate some kids, if you're looking to have me rock some of your clothing to help promote your brand, make sure you hit me up at booking@itsmrtaliaferro.com. Again, that's booking@itsmrtaliaferro.com.